Welcome back to the Virtuous Woman Show. I'm seated here with Kerry Kagiri and we are looking into her life. We want to learn from her past and just to know how far God has brought her from her past and where she is right now. Kerry, how far did you go with substance abuse? What are some of the things that you remember doing, like in high school? Because you said you started this thing quite early. That was quite early, at the age of 13.
First of all, I need to give a disclaimer. I think my parents might be knowing about some of the things I'm talking about here.
Okay.
And as much as we are good friends, there's some things that are just so hard to say.
Yeah.
And, knowing that they did their best to raise me really well.
Yeah.
And that they prayed with me and, train up a child.
Yeah.
That's why I've ended up here, because of the training that my parents have done, other than my own experimenting. So because my life is an example to many people, that's why I'm open to share about this.
And thank you so much for coming to share.
I know, I'm just realizing it's not as easy as I thought, but hey, let's say I remember trying out like one of the drugs people take. It's called Ndovu. Ndovu is like Kuber, but next level. Kuber is like bang, the one you put inside.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, that thing makes you lose all your senses. Or it makes all your senses go at the same time. And so literally, I remember like I was crawling because your knees lose feeling.
They become numb. You know, I'm thinking a lot of things.
That could happen to a young girl who has no senses at that time.
Exactly.
But God. I've actually once, unfortunately, mi nishayekewa mchele. You know, people make a joke about that thing, sinieke mchele.
What is mchele?
Mchele is like being laced.
Oh my God.
Your drink being laced. Yeah, my drink was actually laced. And I woke up, God knows where.
Where were you?
I was somewhere in the heart of, let me not say where, but I woke up somewhere where I didn't go myself. And so, just to say that.
How old were you at this time?
I was a bit older. I was like 22.
Okay.
Yeah. But, it's very sad and it makes you feel very cheated in terms of things that could have happened.
Yeah.
That are quite painful. And so you expose yourself to so many things. And that's, I think, the true definition of the devil is here to kill, to steal and to destroy.
Yeah.
What happens with you when that happens? I'll say what my emotional mind is. I felt cheated, I felt abused, I felt taken advantage of. Yeah. I couldn't forgive myself because I'm like, when do ulijipeleka? Like no one picked you up and took you to the bar. You took yourself. And now who do you call?
Yeah.
Because it's so embarrassing. You can't call your parents. You can't call anybody. You can't call the church. Ulienda kwa bar.
Yes. Yourself.
And then ukaekewa mchele kwa drink. And I remember my body rejecting that drug. Because what happened is I threw up a lot, but I still lost consciousness. And now sometimes I remember consciousness somewhere in a car, and there was this guy who's like on top of me, like, and I'm like, please, no, don't. Then he left me and he went away. And I wake up at some point again, I'm still in the car, I'm like somewhere in the city, and I'm like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? Where's my phone? Where's my bag? You can't find anything.
Yeah.
Next thing, you're out like a light. So the enemy is there to kill,
to steal and to destroy.
And he takes away your joy. For a while, I couldn't serve because you're so embarrassed.
How can you even?
The shame.
Yes.
You're like, guy, no.
But you see, I like your persistence that you know that you're living a double life.
Yeah.
But yet you still find yourself in the house of God, you wanting to serve.
Completely.
And I'm thinking about you in high school. How was your high school life like? Were you able to do well?
Yeah.
Because you said you went to the university. How did you pull through high school? And were there issues of you having alcohol issues?
There are people who try to... I don't want this to ever be a story of this could also happen to me, because the grace allotted to me and the grace allotted to you, they're very different.
Very.
And according to what the plan and the purpose is. There's someone who walked into a bar for the first time, had never drank, didn't even drink there, but a bottle hit them and they died.
It's true. It's true.
The one day.
It's true.
And there are some of us, I'll give an example like me. Well, I don't know why, God, you're bringing this to my mind. But I remember meeting a guy in a bar, and he was trying to talk to me, and I was like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, why are you talking to me? And he's like pulling me and he's like, you know, guys are so entitled in the bar.
Oh, yeah.
Not in church.
Yes, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm like, what? Like, did your mom ever teach you manners? That's what I asked him.
Okay.
And he said, my mom died. And I told him, oh, I'm very sorry, but like when she was alive. My friend, I didn't even finish that statement. The guy took the nearest bottle and hit me on my head. And I was out. I could have died.
Yeah.
Anything could have happened. There was no one to rescue me. Can you imagine that shame? I never even shared this story. The shame.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't call police. Who do you call? You know, what do you do?
Yeah, what were you
So
doing?
I decided to follow
Fighting
up the
with men.
story. I know, fighting with, that's the story, fighting with men.
Yeah.
And I reported it to the police. I had a number for an OCS and I told him about it, and I tried to write a statement. I tried to ask the people, like, do you guys know who he is? Everybody went silent.
Okay.
Nobody ever opened their mouth about who he is so that I could get justice for my...
So you're being beaten.
Anyway, you asked me about high school.
Yes.
In high school, I think that was a whole different thing because I had a transition.
Okay.
Where I actually got an encounter with Christ. And like now a real encounter, like real, like in my heart.
But before you got that real encounter in high school, we want to know, because I know there are parents that are watching.
Yes.
And you see, some of them have sent their children to high school, in boarding schools, or even day schools, and they meet with friends there. Did you have like people some disciples that you tried to convert into maybe drinking? Because anytime we have a good product, we want to sell it.
That's true.
Especially women, we want to sell our hair, we want to sell whatever thing we know. If I know of a song I want to share with a friend, especially in high school, that age.
That's true.
Did you try to convert anyone in school?
I don't think I'd call it conversion. I'd just say if there was a plan, I was in it, and I was even the one creating plans sometimes. Okay. You could find a time when some people got caught with like alcohol and phones and like drinks and weed in school, and you know they could say, how did this habit start? Because they wanted to get to the root of it.
Okay.
And I want to thank God for a really good school, yeah. So they want to get to the root of it, and so in every story, Kagiri featured, and they couldn't believe, because I think the other Kagiris who were in my school, not I think I know, were model Christians and everything. So this one is the one who was come. And so they were asking, so when did you smoke? Who are you smoking with? Which form? Okay, in form 2, you smoked with who? Kagiri. You, where were you drinking? In town, who are you with? Kagiri. You tried to, you snuck in boys in the school. Who are you with? Kagiri. So I was featuring everywhere, yet I was not in the boardroom for disciplinary. And so the parents were like, who is this
Kagiri?
Who is this? And so I remember the deputy then calling me to her office, and she said, okay, so you have been listed in all these crimes. Nah, you're not featuring anywhere, because that was form 2 and like form 3.
Okay.
And so I just told her, Christ has forgiven me. Who are you? Who are you? Why are you accusing me? Me, I changed my lifestyle.
Wow.
I stopped all these things completely. I've not been drinking, because then we used to even sneak in alcohol, kwa biker, as in, man, some foolish things we did. May God forgive us, and He has. So, so we used to be high in school. Okay. We used to sneak in, weed in tissue paper, just like roll it in like tissue. Even though you're being searched, you'll just remove the tissue.
Yeah.
Nikona two tissue. You want the tissue? It's okay. You can, you put it back in your pocket or in pads. As in, we did crazy things.
Wow.
But the grace of God, I'd say, it was sufficient to lead to where we're at right now. So that happened in high school, and guys got expelled actually, and I was left.
You were never expelled?
I was never expelled. So I was either the snitch.
Okay. The snitch again?
I could have been the snitch, because how am I in all the stories and I'm not being expelled? Because what happened is there was a bust. The teachers, it was a bust. So they came to the school, they're like, we are searching everybody.
Yeah.
I remember one of the teachers reading my love letters from boys, and she read it out loud in class. Dear. I'm like, why?
And the way it's a big issue in high school.
They searched everybody.
Yeah.
So when they searched everybody, they found people with alcohol, people with phones, people with things. That's when that I was brought to light.
Wow, what happened?
Yeah, they call people to the boardroom and they call their parents.
But you said, that's the time you said you were forgiven?
Yeah.
Wow.
I actually asked the deputy because I was like, it's fine. You're accusing me. It's true. I told her it's true.
Yeah.
All those things are true. I smoked, yes. I drank, yes. I snuck, yes. I stole, yes. I did, yes.
Yes.
But Christ himself has forgiven me.
Wow.
And I've changed my life. Who are you to accuse me?
And had you really changed at that particular
I had completely changed.
Wow.
I was seeking Christ, and I remember that's when I had my first opportunity to actually be on radio.
Okay.
So the radio station I currently work for, I have like a 360 experience because then I started listening to Christian content.
Oh,
and they were like, oh, we're looking for an intern presenter. You can come. And I approached them and I was like, oh, can I have an opportunity? I think I'm good at radio. And they said, come. And I remember it was Njuguna Waiguru who got me on radio with Mose and Kroba and the late Kaberere who used to be as well on, DJ Soxy, DJ Celeb, the whole crew. And so I started coming on air and I was just myself, raw. I'm like, you know, Jesus, I've learned this about Jesus. I'm still learning about Jesus. I don't know about this. I don't know this Bible verse. Can you teach me? That was me. And so that's when I guess God started forming where I'm at after that God encounter and after listening to radio content. So I had changed. And these guys were very deliberate. I feel like Kubamba very deliberate with mentorship and discipleship.
Wow.
So you learn the DNA, you learn what you need to know about Christ.
Please, before we leave that place of alcohol, because I know people are going to be liberated just by listening to you, and parents are going to be like switched on to get to know these are the things that our children could be doing. I'm also a parent and I'm interested to know.
To a teenager.
Yes, two teenagers.
Two teenagers, wow.
Yes. So kindly, could you kindly expose a bit about drugs? What kind of drugs did you take to school? I know you've said you used to hide them in bikers and tissues. Those are some of the pointers you've given to us. But how are these drugs? Which form are they in? We need to know so that we know how to help our children.
Absolutely. So right now in the season, and I'm sorry to all the bakers, guys are baking a lot of drugs.
Baking?
Yes. So you'll find weed in brownies. And it's very delicious, but it's quite a hit. But what I want to tell parents, I think this is the biggest thing because at some point now, my mom started having raw conversations with me about it. My dad started having also conversations with me about it. The thing we miss is actually being honest with your child and telling them, you know what, these things are there, but is this the life you want to lead?
You're right.
I don't know if most parents talk about sex with their children.
You're right.
I remember once my mom said to me, you know what? You continue what you're doing. Continue drinking. You will be so poor. When you go to a bar, you'll only have money for one drink until someone buys you another one. Is that the life you want to live? I was like, I don't want to be poor. I don't want to not have money for drinks. Anyway, so, or my dad calling me and saying, you know, you can't be that close to boys.
And
it's very important for you to understand that until you're actually ready for like marriage and a real relationship, you can't have such close relationships with boys. I'm like, oh. Okay, what he said. But anyway, so there's so many, even nowadays, like alcohol that's very infused in, like, it's sweet. It's not like the usual hard sachets that people used to have kitambo. Like everything is now infused in like an iced tea in like a cocktail or in like, it's all these fancy things.
And all that is getting to schools. All that is getting to teenagers.
That's true.
All that is getting to our babies.
Yes, imagine.
People at very young age. And I believe at this point, our parents should just wake up and be involved in the lives of their children.
Absolutely. And if you can't have the conversation, bring me your children. Me, I'll talk to them. And I'll tell them, oh, have you learned? Because kids know. Your kids know about this. I'm sorry. Parents, your children know. They know about alcohol. Even though you're in church, pastor, you live under the pulpit. They know
all these things.
Yes, so
and it's time that we stand up. It's time that we address the issue. And for you parents that are listening to us, if you have teenagers, don't assume. There's a lot of ignorance gap outside there that you assume that my child knows I don't drink. So you don't expect them to drink, but you don't talk to them about it. This has been a very enlightening session with Kerry Kagiri. We will take a part 2 of this, whereby we will see what kind of a lifestyle that she's living right now. What is she doing for God? How was that turning point that came? How did she turn? How did God turn her life around? And what is she doing with her life right now? May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord empower you as a parent. Don't be ignorant. As a child, please cultivate that relationship with your parents. If they reach out to you, don't assume them. Don't think that you know too much. Please respond to the love of your parents. And by this, we are going to have a healthy relationship between parents and children, and we are going to overcome the devil. But I want to tell you, like Kerry said, the devil comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That is in John 10:10. But the Bible says that Jesus himself came to give us abundant life. And we want to live that kind of life that God gave us through his son, Jesus Christ, a productive life. We want to be restored. Peradventure, if you have found yourself into drugs, there's still a chance.
Absolutely.
God is not a God of second chances. He's a God of another chance, and another chance, and another chance. Until we meet again next time for part B of the same, stay blessed. You're a virtuous woman. You're a powerful woman. Keep pushing forward.